What's up, YouTube? It's Biblical Truther. I haven't heard anyone talking about this, but I've mentioned it for years now about how the Republican Party is going to be the one to do away with the Constitution. Well, right now we have this thing called qualified immunity for state cops, local cops, sheriffs, and such. But they have this blanket immunity for federal agents where if they violate your constitutional rights, you cannot hold them responsible. Well, Trump has been giving these speeches saying that he's wanting to give local cops, state, and sheriffs this blanket immunity like the federal agents have. But what people aren't tying together is the fact that the Constitution is there to protect us from the government, not the other way around. We can't really violate each other's constitutional rights per se. But if Trump gets these people this blanket immunity, right now there's millions upon millions of videos on YouTube from all over the world where, and I'm sure every country will follow suit if he does this here, but state and local cops, sheriffs and whatnot, they constantly violating people's rights, costing taxpayer money in the millions, if not billions, in lawsuits. So if he gets this blanket immunity to where they cannot lose their qualified immunity, because this immunity he's talking about, and he's playing on the left and right paradigm, it's to stop the leftists, basically making it safe for the cops. You know how the Bible talks about when they holler peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them. Well, the only reason we still have the Constitution is because of this limited qualified immunity for state cops, sheriffs, and local cops. They stand a chance of losing that immunity when they violate our rights. But if they get this federalized blanket immunity, then they can't be held responsible for any constitutional violations against us. If they're willing to do what they've been doing in all these millions of videos on YouTube with a chance of losing their qualified immunity, what do you think is going to happen when they have no, basically no chance of losing this immunity? Do you think it's going to get worse for us? Because at that point, I hope you guys realize the Constitution will basically be null and void. There will be no protections for us against these government agents. And that's what they would basically be all considered. Even though they're state and local cops, sheriffs and whatnot, they will still have this federal immunity. Like I talked about in my last video there, what is it? I forget the name now again. The diplomatic immunity, that's what I was trying to think of, to where they can't be charged for anything. So at that point, we have no constitution. There will be no protections from the government against us, or us against the government, however it's supposed to be said. But my wife just brought up something too, that the crypto markets are plunging. It's been talked about for years now that, and it's an I Pet Goat, when the little boy, I think it was Egghead, he had the little things go across his eyes, say market plunge, and then they have the little jets fly over, and it basically is declaring war. Well, these tariffs that Trump's been putting in place go in effect tomorrow on Monday. And it's been talked about for years that when the market crashes, it'll happen on a Monday. They're calling it Black Monday. So it's possible, because I've been hearing a lot about these tariffs and how these countries are not liking these tariffs, that this could very well start a war that we may not be able to handle as a country. But that's just one other thing on top of it, but back to the qualified immunity and stuff. If you think people are getting fed up now, having their rights trampled with a constitution to actually go against these cops and actually get what do they call it, reparations for being beat up, abused, jailed for no reason. What do you think's going to happen when they can't be prosecuted for violating your rights? People are really going to get fed up at that point. And you think there's violence against cops now? Wait till they get this blanket immunity where they can just do with you what they will, and there's no repercussions at all that we as citizens can take against these people. People are going to get fed up real quick. And I think that's what Trump's banking on, because I had a friend of mine, he's just in, lower in his awakening, but he sent me this clip from TikTok about the Back to the Future movie where they had Biff Tanner in the big tower that said Biff, and the writers of that actual movie said that they based Biff off of Trump, right? But in that particular segment of the movie, you see Marty running across the street and they got all the bikers riding in front of Biff's tower. But in the background, you see these cops and military vehicles that the cops are using, chasing people down and stuff. So it basically, and I forget the principal's name, Principal Skinner or something like that. I forget, or Snyder. I forget his name. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie. But basically, the neighborhoods were ran down. It was like rife with crime. Police were chasing. It basically looked like a police state. And basically, neighborhoods and cities were in ruins. But yet, you got the man in the ivory tower, Biff, who was Trump by the writer's own admission. So years ago, people were saying that this was what Trump was meant to bring in. So if he's able to get this essential immunity on top of qualified immunity to where you cannot prosecute a cop for anything, no matter how egregious it is that they do against you or us as the masses, people are going to get fed up. And that's going to give a reason for Trump to declare martial law and have these people full on militarized. They are already militarized now. They like to, down here in the South, we have Mardi Gras. They do all these parades around the end of February, early March. Now it's pushed back to the beginning of February, but regardless, they like to put their little armored vehicles in these parades and show off, you know what I'm saying? Like, basically showing the public what they have to use against us, which is crazy, and people just stand there and cheer for them and whatnot. But the Second Amendment was meant for us as a protection against the government. It talks about the militia. If a government ever gets out of control, we should have the right to form our own militia. But not just that, whatever the government can have firepower-wise, we were supposed to have firepower-wise. You know what I'm saying? It's supposed to be an equal thing. But all these years of gun control and making certain things illegal and certain people not being able to have guns and all this, they have basically taken away our Second Amendment. But some people could still own guns, but it don't matter if you're law-abiding or not. If you was to open carry out in public and the cops don't know who you are, you're fixing to get swarmed, regardless of what kind of gun it is. They're going to make sure that you're legally able to carry it, even though that right shall not be infringed according to our Constitution, yet it has been infringed for decades upon decades. So I just want to make this video to tell y'all, if he gives these people qualified or blanket immunity above qualified immunity to the point where we cannot do anything against these people for trampling our rights, we will have no rights. The Constitution will be null and void. They know that they can't just come out and say, hey, y'all, we're just going to do away with the Constitution. That will cause an uprising immediately. Militias will be forming all over immediately. But what I have not heard anyone talk about, and I've heard a few channels cover this about the essential immunity, as Trump calls it, but they have not correlated it with that would absolutely do away with the Constitution. We would have no more rights protecting us from the government at that point, because It's null and void. They're immune. They have immunity. They have essential immunity no matter what happens. That means they can kill you unjustly. They can beat you up unjustly. They can incarcerate you unjustly, and nothing can be done to these people about it. That goes for patrolmen all the way up to, basically the Supreme Court, because technically they are in the judicial system. They have this blanket immunity already. But when it filters down to the states, the state police, the sheriffs, and the local police, that's the only reason we still have a constitution right now. Federally, we have no constitution protecting us from federal agents, but they don't interact with us on a daily basis. Our state actors do. Our sheriffs, our counties, our parishes, our city cops. They are the ones that deal with the masses on a regular. So once they get that qualified immunity, you have no constitution. You can throw that out the window because none of those can be violated with immunity. I hope y'all understand this. So I just wanted to make this video to basically tell y'all that is our protection from the government. It's not a protection from each other. It's not a protection from anything else other than the government. So when these state actors get qualified immunity, your constitution is gone. There is no way to hold them accountable for violating your rights. And if that's the case, then you have no rights. They can do with you whatever they want. And he's playing on this, it's the leftists going after the conservatives and we got to stop the leftists. That's what the little video that I seen of the talk that he gave. It was all about the leftists coming after the conservatives. And so if you believe that a cop's going to come up to you and be like, hey, before we violate you, are you a Republican or Democrat? If you're a Republican, we'll just let you slide because we're only out to get the leftists, the Democrats. Yeah, so I just want people to open their eyes to what's going on here. If you playing into the left and right, man, there is no left and right. It's the double-headed eagle. It's the Freemasonic symbol of the one bird with the two heads. That is your Republican. That is your Democrat. But it's all part of the same bird. If and when we allow them to give this essential immunity to state actors, meaning cops and agents and basically all of the government actors, then your constitution is over with. That is our only protection, and that's the only reason we still have a constitution, is because they don't have that immunity. But once they have it, what good is the constitution? It's null and void at that point. And I've been telling y'all this is what they're going to do. The Republicans are doing this. They're not going to worry about who's a Democrat and who's a Republican, who's a leftist and who's a rightist. You know what I'm saying? When they come, they're not distinguishing who's who. That tyranny is coming on all of us, Republican and Democrat, left and right. Please understand that. Share this video because I have not heard anybody tell you this before. But when this immunity takes place, if we allow it to, because not enough people is going to come together on this, you're still going to have your Q-tards and your Trump supporters backing them all the way to give these people to stop the leftists. But you think they're going to just go after the leftists? They're coming after everybody. Everybody. Left, right, it don't matter. They're not going to distinguish who's a leftist and who's a rightist. You know what I'm saying? They're coming after everybody. They're violating everybody. Everybody. Get it through your heads, people. Everybody. There's not going to be a distinction. There's not going to be just going after the left. Like, this is absurd that he can even stand up there and say these things and people believe it. Your constitution will be no more if he gets his way and is allowed to pass this immunity on. Not only is it going to do away with the Constitution, but we need to fight for that not happening and federal agents not having any type of immunity. Like, that's crazy. That's giving them basically martial law rules without martial law. They could do to us what they will. No recourse can be done because we, the people, asked for it, basically, essentially, if we don't stop them from doing it. So please heed this warning. All you guys out there making videos about this, you know, your First Amendment auditors, your people who cover these First Amendment auditors, your civil rights attorneys, which is bull crap. I bet the civil rights attorney, I do share some of his stuff because legally he is right on some of these things with constitutional violations. But if you read the Universal Commercial Code, which is traffic law, that is for commercial vehicles only. It states in there that people traveling in a private capacity shall fall under common law, yet all of us get pulled over and get written tickets when, according to common law, if there is no property destroyed, stolen, or there's no victim, there is no crime. So traffic law should not apply to a private citizen traveling in their vehicle. Black's Law, which is what all these attorneys get their definitions from, how they write in their legalese, these civil rights attorneys know. So not only are they getting 40 to 60% of these lawsuits that they file, they're also putting on YouTube and probably making hundreds of thousands, if not millions, off of the YouTube videos. So for me, because I've asked several civil rights attorneys, you know, why haven't y'all, if y'all are for the people and about the civil rights, why aren't you showing how traffic law is strictly for commercial use, but yet it's exacted against all of us in our private capacity? Nobody wants to comment. You know, I haven't got a comment back. I haven't checked to see if they erased my comment. Probably they have, because they don't want us to know this either. They're not here for us. This is how the Freemasons spread the wealth. They want to have these attorneys have these lawsuits because they're getting 40 to 60% of your money. Oh, I got this lady $8 million. No, you didn't. You got her maybe 3 to 6. You took the rest. So come on now. Stop sitting here saying you're for the people when you're not. You're for the money, and you know it. All you civil rights attorneys. Because none of y'all will address how the UCC, Universal Commercial Code, is strictly for commercial vehicles. Why is that not ever being covered? Why do you guys sit there and claim this high and mighty position like you're here for us? You know, we're here to make sure you get compensated for the violation of your rights. Bullshit. You're here to get 40 to 60% of their money. That's what you're here for, because you're not telling nobody that this commercial code does not apply to private citizens. I'm just saying. But anyway, I hope you guys share this. I hope you guys heed this warning. If Trump gets away with this essential immunity for state, county, and city cops, your Constitution is gone. There is no recourse for us to do anything against any of these police, any of these FBI agents. Well, you can't do nothing against FBI, ATF, Secret Service, Homeland Security. You can't do nothing to them when they violate your rights now. So the only thing keeping the state cops, the county cops, and the city cops from doing what they want, like obviously they wish to do, because they do it even though they can lose their qualified immunity. What do you think's going to happen when they get blanket immunity like the federal workers? Those that interact with the public on a regular basis. What do you think's going to happen? And I'm full on believing Trump's ready to initiate, you know, the National Guard and all these other military, groups against us. That's exactly what's going to happen. He's the man. He is the man that's going to take down America. And all you people cheering for him, going along with him, oh yeah, I believe in this, but I don't believe in that. But hey, Trump did it, so it's got to be good for us. Open your freaking eyes, dude. Open your eyes. They don't even have to say we're doing away with the Constitution. Common sense, dude. Common sense. They give blanket immunity to all these people that have any type of government job. You have no constitution from then on. So spread this message, man. Tell people, if we allow these politicians to do this, it's over with for America. Love you guys.
Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth, and having on the breastplate of righteousness, and your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, and watching thereunto with all perseverance and supplication for all saints,